The sun has risen on a new uncertain chapter for the Southeast and indeed for the entire nation. If you are watching this, you are witnessing one of the most defining moments in Nigeria's history since the Civil War. The headline is staring us in the face. What's next for Biafra? Yesterday, Thursday, November 20th, 2025, the gavel fell in Abuja. Justice James Omotosho of the Federal High Court looked the federal government in the eye, ignored their demand for the death penalty, and instead handed down a life imprisonment sentence to Mazi Nnamdi Kanu. We are broadcasting this special analysis to break down the seismic shift that has just happened. We are not just talking about a court ruling. We are talking about the potential decapitation of the IPOB leadership structure. Think about it. Nnamdi Kanu has been sentenced to life for terrorism. And remember what happened in September 2025? His rival and splinter group leader, Simon Ekpa, was sentenced to 6 years in prison by a court in Finland. So the question burning in the hearts of millions today, November 21st, 2025, is simple. With Kanu in Kuje for life and Ekpa in a Finnish prison, who commands the ship? Is this the end of the agitation? Or is it the beginning of a more chaotic, leaderless resistance? Let's quickly recap the earthquake that happened yesterday for context. The federal government, led by prosecutor Adegboyega Awomolo San, came for blood. They cited Section 12H of the Terrorism Prevention Amendment Act 2013, arguing that the court had no choice but to impose the death penalty because people died. They wanted him to hang. Justice Omotosho, in a move that shocked many, said he would temper justice with mercy as a Christian. He gave Kanu life on counts 1, 4, 5, and 6. He gave him 20 years for count 3 and 5 years for count 7. But here is the kicker. Nnamdi Kanu wasn't even in the room when his fate was sealed. He had been bundled out, literally dragged out of the court, after screaming, "Show me the law," and calling the proceedings a kangaroo judgment. That image of the leader being forcefully ejected is what is circulating on phones across the Southeast right now. So, what next? Let's look at the 3 critical areas that will define the next few months. First, the legal war. Kanu's lawyer, Barrister Aloy Ejimakor, has already signaled that an appeal is incoming. They are going to fight this on the grounds that the 2013 Act used to convict him was repealed by the 2022 Act. They will argue that you cannot use a dead law to bury a living man. This appeal will likely go all the way to the Supreme Court. But here is the hard truth. Appeals take time. For the foreseeable future, Kanu remains a convict. The label alleged terrorist is gone. Legally, he is now a convicted terrorist. This changes how the international community interacts with his case. Second, the leadership vacuum. This is the most dangerous part. For years, IPOB has been a two-headed snake. Kanu controlling the structure and Ekpa controlling the Autopilot enforcers. Now both heads are cut off. Kanu is effectively silenced by a life sentence and Ekpa is serving time in Europe. Who fills this void? Security analysts are terrified that without a central command, the boys in the bush, the armed wings, the ESN, might splinter into independent warlords. We could see a rise in criminality masked as agitation because there is no one left to call them to order. The Monday sit-at-home might become even more erratic and violent if local gangs decide to enforce it to show loyalty or just to exert power. Third, the political solution. Is it dead? Many people, including the Deputy Speaker Benjamin Kalu and the late Ohanaeze leader Emmanuel Iwanyanwu, pinned their hopes on a non-kinetic approach. They wanted a pardon. But Justice Omotosho made a very specific comment in his ruling yesterday. He said Kanu was arrogant, cocky, and showed no remorse. In the eyes of the law, it is very difficult to pardon a convict who tells the judge to his face that the court is rubbish. However, politics is a game of interests. If the Southeast becomes ungovernable because of this sentence, President Tinubu might still be forced to look at a pardon down the line, not for Kanu's sake, but for the sake of peace. If you are finding this deep dive valuable and you want to stay ahead of the curve on this unfolding story, please take a second to smash the like button and subscribe to the channel. We track the news that mainstream media might miss. We also have to talk about the streets. The initial reaction in places like Aba and Onitsha has been a mix of shock and fear. People are watching the security deployments. The police and army have flooded the region, anticipating a backlash. The Abia state government has called for calm, urging people not to take laws into their hands. But we know that emotions are high. The feeling of victimization is strong, especially when people compare this outcome to how bandits in the north are treated. So, the Biafra News Today is grim. The movement has lost its two most visible figures to prison cells in the same year, 2025. The legal path is steep, the political path is narrow, and the security path is volatile. What do you think? Will the agitation fizzle out now that the leaders are jailed, or will it mutate into something more dangerous? Do you think the president should intervene with a pardon, or should the law run its full course? Let me know in the comments. This is a conversation we need to have as a nation.